なお森ミュージックチャンネル。皆さんこんにちは、森井奈緒です。はい、今日はもう見えてると思いますけれども、スペシャルゲストに来ていただいております。We have a special guest from the States. He also has a YouTube channel which has 35,000 subscribers. It's amazing, isn't it? He is a famous one. Please welcome Aaron Washington from the Black Trumpeter YouTube channel. Yay!
Hey now, thank you so much for having me. And I'm looking forward to talking with you on this interview.
So could you introduce yourself to the people who watch this video a little bit?
Sure. So my name is Aaron Washington from Chicago, Illinois in the States. And I really just wanted to start my channel to help people learn, practice, and grow on the trumpet so we can get, have more fun. Because during certain gigs, I heard a lot of people say that they used to play the trumpet, but they didn't. They just quit. So I want to encourage more trumpet players out in the world to just continue playing the trumpet. So that's why I came up with the Black Trumpeter YouTube channel.
Sounds great. And so I have several questions for you today. I would like to ask about your music background and some tips to improve trumpet skills, especially for beginners and intermediate trumpet players. Let's start.
Let's do it.
All right. When did you start playing the trumpet and why did you choose it?
Well, I started playing the trumpet when I was 11. And before then, I've never heard any like instrumental music like trumpets or saxophones. But my mom and we moved to a different town. And so that was like around maybe 5th grade. And I seen a poster about joining band in the nearby school. And so I was like, I really loved music growing up as far as like singing. I was in the choir and like musicals and stuff like that. So I was like, I've never played an instrument before. That would be pretty cool. So I seen that poster. I was like, okay, I want to sign up. So I went to a huge gymnasium and had a whole bunch of instruments, right? It had saxophones, it had tubas, everything. But I was like, well, I should give this instrument a try. And it had 3 buttons. I was like, how hard could this be? It only has 3 keys, right? So I saw it and I tried it. The guy that was sitting right next to me, helping me, make my embouchure and stuff like that. I made a sound and he said, oh man, you're a natural. You made a sound. I was like, excellent. If I'm a natural, I can just pack it up and this is going to be my instrument. I didn't try any other instruments after that. That's pretty much the extent of why I chose it. I thought it was going to be very easy because it only had 3 keys, 3 buttons. Later found out it's not that easy. But
yeah, that's really true. A lot of people ask, why do you make sound with 3 vowels, right?
Right. It's a mystery for sure for a lot of people. As I learn more about the instrument, it's easier to explain how the trumpet works because we have only a certain number of combinations on the instrument. You can make different sounds on each one of those combinations. And that's how we make so many different sounds on the trumpet.
Does anyone play an instrument in your family?
No, like no one plays instruments, like no one plays piano. I'm pretty much the only musician in my family.
Did you go to music school?
After high school, I went to college for music education. So, because at first I wanted to be a band director, so I wanted to, be in the classroom and teach a whole bunch of people how to play their instruments. And so I went to Illinois State University here in Illinois, and that's where I got most of my classical training during that time. It was a 5-year program. Now it's a 4-year program.
You still learn classical music?
Yes, that's how I got most of my training. Was in the university. Even though I did take lessons during high school, but a lot of the pedagogy and stuff that I teach now is just things that I've studied during college and things that my private teacher in college showed me and taught me. So that's where all of this information comes from, really.
But you play jazz music, right?
Yeah, so I play jazz. I play all types of music. Jazz is my favorite, though.
I watched some videos. They were awesome.
Thank you so much. Like, as far as jazz, I've always wanted to demystify jazz and improvisation. So I'm still like on the search of just like how to improvise better and how to better explain it to people that don't know how to improvise. That's the journey I'm on right now, because most of the people that contact me for lessons and things like that, they want to learn how to improvise and they want to learn how to play jazz. But the thing is that they're beginners. And so it's really hard to improvise if you don't have enough technique or enough fundamentals. I try my best to try to bridge the gap between the beginner and what they really want to do, which is improvise. So
yeah, basically they have things to do before that.
Exactly. There's so many things to do before we get even a chance to improvise, because we got to first learn how to make a sound. We got to first learn how to make different notes with different fingerings and stuff like that. So they have to know the instrument like the back of their hand kind of before they jump into improvisation. It can be a little frustrating for a lot of people, but most of them love the music so much they're willing to do the work, do what it takes to get to that point.
Like you said earlier, you have a bunch of good lesson videos. We should talk about trumpet a little more. So many of my subscribers are very interested in making beautiful, clear sounds and better high notes on trumpet. Do you have some good ideas about them?
As far as sound, let's talk about sound first, because that's the most important. When it comes to sound, really the most important is a good setup, like a good embouchure. So making sure that the corners are firm and that the middle is loose. Because usually with beginners, they try so hard to make a sound, they end up tightening up everything here. Whereas in trumpet, we need the middle to be really loose. One of the best tips I can give is when you're first starting out is to not really play the trumpet first, but to take the main tuning slide out, take that out and buzz on the lead pipe, because then we don't have to worry about making a pretty sound or a clear sound or a bad sound. We're just worried about getting a nice, clear response. Like just being able to do that. That's step number one for me when it comes to beginners. So if you can do that, there's two things with that. That's the middle sound, but we also need to know how to make a higher sound and a lower sound. So I would instruct people to do, if you're a beginner, is to then slide down to a lower partial or a lower sound. Right? So we get to that lower note. If they can do that, they know how to play lower notes. Now the next part is, how can we play higher notes? The next sound that you will need to make is this one. Right? At first, when I tell a lot of beginners that we're going to play that note, they're like, oh, that's so high. Like, I can't do that. But it's really not. The only thing that's changing is the tongue arch, or the how we use our tongue. And so if I were to boil down trumpet playing, is to have a good setup here, and also being able to use the tongue to change the pitch. So I do this a lot. Just to
it's great. It's easy to understand.
Yeah, so I do this a lot to talk about tongue arch. I like to think that there's three types of air, or three types of ways to form the mouth on the inside. So there's ah, which is the neutral position. So if we're blowing ah, I'm thinking ah in the mouth. And then if we want a higher pitch, the middle of the tongue is going up some more. So we say E. E as in like pizza. It makes somewhat of a hissing sound. So from ah to E. The next one is how to get the tongue lower. That next vowel sound is ooh, like humility. Ooh, in English, humility.
Yeah, I understand.
So we have ah as in awesome, E as in pizza, and ooh as in humility. We have middle pitch, high pitch, and low pitch. So I do this to say where we are in the mouth. So use my hand as a visual.
It's easy to understand. When it comes to Japanese, it's impossible to do it. We should use English words. For me, wow, it's so easy. I want to use it, but Japanese people don't understand it. So Japanese vowels sound very different.
I would say the language that you use really determines your sound, or how you conceptualize what's happening on the inside. We all have different languages and we all say things differently. Even in the Arbin's book, that was written in French. So how they pronounce certain things is a lot different than, the English pronounce. Two. In French, they pronounce it two. It's more like in English, Twoo, tew, rather than two. too in English. So there's that slight difference that makes it a big difference in trumpet playing.
Okay. So, lastly, I would like to ask, what's your goal in 2021?
Man, my goal for 2021, like for the channel?
For anything.
Anything. Okay. Well, I'll say for the channel, as a teacher, my goal is to have a dedicated website that really helps trumpet players play this instrument in a methodical and systematic way. That's my goal for this year, is to create a program they can study on their own. Because the problem is access to information, the right information at the right time. That's really the kicker. That we live in an information world. However, there's an issue with too much information. And then with that, there's information that people might not be ready for, and information that might not be the right information for that person. So my goal for this year is to create somewhat of a at your own pace curriculum for the person that wants to learn trumpet straight from scratch to whatever level they want to achieve. That's pretty much this year's goal and just my overall goal, period. I just want more people to play trumpet because it's just a great instrument. If you know how to play it, it's unlike any other instrument. I pretty much played every instrument. I mean, not every instrument, but I played enough instruments to know that like the trumpet just provides something that other instruments don't.
You're such a good teacher. So when I found you on YouTube, I found out, this person is very good. He must be a nice guy.
I try my best to be nice. And then with trumpet, like you gotta be patient. So when you're teaching trumpet, you gotta have patience, and patience is the most important thing because as you know, we can't play this instrument in a hurry. It takes time to develop a great sound. It takes time to create good articulation. And then once all that is done, we then have to make beautiful music. How do we make beautiful music out of a piece of metal? It just takes time. And so I try to be as patient as possible.
All right. That's all, basically. Thank you for letting me interview you.
Oh, thank you for having me on now. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
今日はね、こんな感じで英語で喋りましたけど、彼のチャンネルでも私も喋ってるので、よかったらね、彼のチャンネルもぜひ見に来てください。概要欄に情報を貼っておきます。ということで、また次の動画でお会いしましょう。森井奈緒でした。あと、アーロンさんでした。バイバイ。
Bye.
Now, Morii, Music Channel. Hello everyone! 皆さんこんにちは、森井奈緒です。森井奈緒ミュージックチャンネルではトランペットレッスン、演奏動画、さまざまな音楽活動について配信しています。No trumpet, no life!